Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know me already, I'm Lucy, and today I'm going to be checking in with a somewhat belated bump pregnancy update at 37 weeks. I initially had very good intentions of sitting down and doing a 36-week bump update. That was my plan, but 36 weeks fell slap bang in the middle of the Easter holidays from school, and honestly my feet don't feel like they've touched the ground over Easter. Not because we've done a great deal, because actually I actively tried not to do very much over the Easter holidays and just kind of enjoy some chilled out time together at home. But when you have 3 children underfoot, it is not easy to get an opportunity where the house is quiet enough that you can actually film. So I am checking in with you at 37 weeks and actually very nearly 38 weeks. So yeah, it's a good show. I'm getting a chance to sit down and have a chat with you now. Where are things at? Well, 37 weeks means full term, baby, which is very exciting, which is just, seriously, I need to think of another word, don't I? Every single video I'm like, this is so exciting, or that is so exciting. But it's nice to know we've kind of made it to the full term point where if I go into labour now, the chances are everything should be fine. It would be considered relatively straightforward. Baby is ready for the outside world now. At 36 weeks, I had a normal midwife checkup and went to see her. A couple of things kind of came out of that. One is that I am now measuring way over, like 3 weeks over what they think I should be. Now obviously this kind of like fundal height measurement has its issues. It has kind of had its issues for me with all of my pregnancies, because I seem to carry my babies kind of high to low and I don't tend to go out very wide, and because of that they do tend to measure over, particularly towards the end. The midwife still didn't seem to think the baby was particularly big, but they are now obviously monitoring it again and making sure that baby is not suddenly going to be a whopper. So when I go and see the midwife again in a few days time, they will obviously check that again, and if I'm still measuring way over, they will want to send me for a growth scan just so that they know what they're dealing with when D-Day comes. But I kind of think at this point not a lot you can do about it. So yeah, wait and see, I guess, what happens with that one. The other thing that came out of that appointment is that baby seems to be back to back. I already had my suspicions that baby was back to back just because of how I was feeling. So most of the kicks and wriggles I get are at the front, at the top of my bump. And I also get quite a lot of movement still towards the bottom of my bump, which if baby was front to back where they're supposed to be, I obviously wouldn't really be feeling anything very much towards the lower half of my bump. And on top of that, when the baby kind of tends to like drop some days and then is a bit higher other days, and on the days that the baby drops, it is very much down in my pelvis, in my back, rather than down at the front, if that makes sense. It's one of, I think because I have had 1 back-to-back baby and then 2 front-to-back babies, I kind of know the difference. So I did already have a sneaking suspicion it was back-to-back. Basically the midwife had all sorts of issues actually trying to locate what position the baby was in, because obviously at this stage they are massively keeping an eye on whether the baby is head down or breech, and they basically couldn't really work out where the baby was, because obviously the baby's spine seems to be lying towards the back, so all they can really feel is limbs and kind of what might be a head but could just as easily be a bottom. So they are kind of having to keep an eye. This one is clearly gonna be a little bit of a munchkin. I do have to confess that the whole back-to-back thing has thrown me through a loop a little bit, because I had been feeling really positive coming towards this whole birth. I was actually, dare I say it, excited and kind of looking forward to it. I had a really positive birth experience with Quinn, and I felt like I kind of was like, this is gonna be it, like I'm gonna have such a positive experience. I guess what it was is that I wasn't necessarily expecting it to be this massively positive experience, but I found it really empowering when I gave birth to her. So I was kind of still am looking forward to doing it again, but then the whole back-to-back thing has thrown me through a loop, because Dylan was back-to-back labour and his labour was horrendous, and it was long and it was painful, and it took me a long time to dilate, and he then was having decelerations in his heart rate. Just everything about his birth was just quite stressful, and I had been making a concerted effort to kind of distance myself from anything that stressed me out about birth, and it has made me a little bit nervous, which wasn't really how I was feeling. I was just feeling really positive about it. The midwife had kind of said to me, well, you know, with fourth baby there's a lot more room in there, so the chances are that this baby could, and more than likely once contraction starts, will start to turn by themselves. Most babies that start off back to back in labour do tend to turn during labour. She just kind of kept doing the whole, it's your fourth time, these things tend to go along a bit quicker, and the chances of it being as unpleasant as the first time is not as great, but it has definitely made me feel a little bit more nervous, particularly if baby also ends up being a bit of a whopper, which, as I said, they don't think that he or she is a whopper, but yeah, isn't it always the way that you kind of have all these things thrown at you at the final hurdle? And I felt kind of really in control of it all, and now, yeah, I feel just a little bit more nervous. If you have had a back-to-back labour and it's been really positive, please tell me about it, because obviously right now my only experience of back-to-back labour was a very long, very drawn out, very painful labour that ended up having to have quite a lot of medical intervention, and I would really like to hear stories about back-to-back babies that still decided to pop out at speed. That would be great. Anyway, I'm going to move on from that because I don't want to get stuck in that kind of rut. I think it's quite natural towards the end of being pregnant to get a little bit kind of reflective, I guess, and I am reflecting a lot on how amazing 3 has been for us. Having number 3 is what made us want number 4, because it's just been so positive for us, and it's been so lovely, and it was really nice over these holidays to be able to kind of sit back and have an opportunity to really watch the 3 of them together and just picture that 4th person slotting in. It's definitely bittersweet at this point, because it's lovely with 3 of them, and we've just managed to potty train Quinn, so we're literally like, oh, we're not changing nappies all day long, and we're about to start changing nappies all day long again. Obviously, I would not change it for a thing. I'm so excited to see the children with their new baby brother or sister. They are so excited to meet the new baby brother or sister. But yeah, I'm just trying to make the most of this kind of last period of time while we're still a 5, because it does feel like it's on borrowed time now, and we're itching for that final member of the gang, but at the same time kind of enjoying this last patch where we're just a 5. So yeah, oh god, can you tell I'm all emotional today? Oh. Okay, with regards to symptoms, I would still say it's kind of been like the story of this pregnancy. I'm not really getting a great deal of symptoms, bearing in mind I'm only like a couple of weeks away now from the baby being due. Still feel relatively comfortable. I know that by this stage last time around I was getting really fed up, which makes me think this baby's going to be late. I just feel like I still most of the time feel too comfortable and happy for it to be imminent. Does that make sense? Having said that, I have suffered a little bit lately with insomnia, which is not something I've had with any of the other pregnancies whatsoever. Fortunately, it's not every night, but I have had kind of the odd night where I've literally just been wide awake for 2-3 hours in the middle of the night, for no real reason. I think it's almost like my head is ticking over with too much stuff, or I just don't seem to be able to settle. I've definitely noticed the bump dropping. So some days I honestly feel like I'm walking like a cowboy. It's like I've properly developed a waddle, which is another thing. I don't really recall ever particularly waddling with the other three, but then I also think this is also partly to do with the fact that the baby's back to back, and when he or she like drops down into the pelvis, it literally feels like I need to do a massive poo, but it's obviously not, it's a head. So yeah, some days I have a really attractive kind of cowboy waddle going on, but it's not particularly bothering me. It's not all the time. Obviously it's a fourth baby, so they kind of pop in and out of being engaged once you get past the first one. So fortunately not all the time. Haven't really done anything more in regards to nesting, because I basically nested the heck out of the last few months, and I don't really have very much to do now. The hospital bags are packed. I am basically good to go whenever the baby is ready. I think it's partly because I learned from last time not to leave it to the last minute, because at the end tend to be more uncomfortable, although as I said I'm kind of feeling alright. But also we've got a lot going on with the other three kids at the moment, so I don't really have time to be nesting now, so I've basically done it all, if that makes sense. Although I am being really bizarre about cleaning stuff and making sure that everything is in exactly its rightful place and everything. So I am being very nesty, but most of the kind of big nesting jobs, like getting the cot ready and getting all of that kind of stuff, I've done it because I just wanted that done kind of before I got to the point where I was fed up and stressed about it not being done. So that's a really nice feeling to know that I'm basically ready now. We feel like we might be getting there with names. I don't think we've ever, actually to be fair, we were quite bad when we were pregnant with Quinn, but I don't think we've had so many issues with names before. We've basically got now a couple of girls' names and a couple of boys' names ready. As to which names we will actually end up using and what order they all end up going in, we're kind of saying that we're just going to have to wait until we meet this person and see what name suits them, which is not very like me. With all the others I really wanted that name definitely nailed down. I don't know, like I said, because we have had so many kind of, not disagreements, but we've been just talking about it and talking about it and talking about it and talking about it and not really seeming to get very far and just reading the same name lists over and over and over again. I just am kind of at the point now where I feel like the name will present itself to us. I hope. Yeah, it's going to present itself to us, right? I'm just thinking that I might play the Labour card. But honey, look what I just went through. I just went through all that pain, so I feel like I should get to choose. We'll have to see what happens, I guess, when the baby comes. So where is baby at 37 weeks? Basically cooked. About the size of a honeydew melon, so like a small newborn. Basically all its kind of bodily functions and systems are in place. It's doing a lot of practice breathing now. It's breathing in the amniotic fluid to kind of stretch the lungs, ready for that first big deep breath and the cry. The only thing that is not fully developed, I think, is the digestive system, but that is because it can't be fully developed until the baby is born and they feed for the first time. So yeah, basically baby is fully cooked and good to go, as are we. So whenever you're ready, bubs, it's good with us. So I guess all that's left to do now is to show you my rather sizable bump. Right, I've had to move the camera to get this big old bump in. Look at that. This top is not really showing you how big it is it really? It is a sizable bump. Let me lift it up and show you. Honestly, I kind of look at my bump now and I think, geez, there is a person in there. That's just crazy. But yeah, that is the big old bubba bump. So that is it, I think, from me for this video. I have had a few people asking me various different things lately, so I thought I would address it now and then. It's all here. I've had a lot of people asking about hospital bag videos. I will be filming those this week. I will be getting those up as soon as possible. The other thing people have been asking me is about where we plan on announcing the birth. Obviously we will be letting immediate family know first, and then I think our announcement will probably end up on Instagram. So if you are not following me on Instagram already, that is definitely the place to go. And I will obviously be introducing you to the little person here on my channel as soon as I feel up to it and ready and able and all of that jazz. If you have made it this far, I have a favour to ask of you now. In the comments, I would like to know your predictions. So I am due in the first week of May. My other 3 babies have been a tiny weeny bit early. My other babies have been £7.1, £7.13 and £8.3. So can you have a little guess of the weight? And do you think baby is going to be a girl or a boy? So I want to hear basically all of your predictions for dates, weights and gender of the baby, name if you fancy it. You know, you might throw out an idea that we haven't thought of. I will hopefully get a chance to check in with another pregnancy update before I'm all done. Hopefully not too many though, like I don't want to be doing another 2 or 3, that would not make me happy. But I'm hoping I can pop in with at least another 1 before the baby is born, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks so much for watching, bye!